Cortana, you're a bitch. When I worked on Cortana, Microsoft Digital Personal Assistant, we realized that many of the chit-chat conversations that people have with her are actually all sorts of harassments. Questions about her sex life and things like that. And I want to ask you if you think that's a problem. Who thinks it's not really a problem because there's no real person on the other side, so no one is being harassed? Okay, we have a few. Who thinks it is a problem and it can even affect our society? Okay, so we have more for this one, and that's good because I agree with you, or you agree with me. And I think that especially today, as these services and applications are available to everyone, this is a very important discussion to have. So hi everyone, it's great to be here. My name is Shira, and I've been in tech for about 20 years. Started as a software developer and then moved to the product side. I spent most of my career at Microsoft. I've been there for 14 years. And in my last position there, I led a team of product managers working on AI features within Office. So maybe some features that you even know around Office 365 and Teams are features that the team here in Israel is building, and we worked on that for several years. From the gender point of view, I was always the only girl in school studying computer science, and I was a very shy girl, so I didn't really know what to do with myself during the breaks. But later in my career, I got used to it, and I realized that it's okay. I chose an area, a domain that's very male-dominated, and I'm okay with that. But even later in my career, I realized that there are also things that we can do around changing that, and it doesn't have to be like that. And then I started becoming more active around promoting women in tech. I also co-founded Leadwich, which is a nonprofit organization promoting women in tech in Israel. So that's a bit about the gender side of things. So the connection between gender and AI or gender and technology is something that's very close to my heart, and this is where this session is coming from. A few words about what I'm doing today. Today I have my own business. I have a product management school with courses for product managers in early stages of their career. And I also work with teams and organizations who want to leverage AI tools more effectively and learn which tools to use and how to use them best. So in the next few minutes, we're going to talk about gender biases in AI. We'll talk about what does that actually mean. And I guess some of you are already familiar with these areas. We'll talk about why is this happening and what can we do to improve the situation. And I'll start with a scandal that happened here in Israel. Maybe some of you remember in 2011, saying that Google Translate is a chauvinist because it used to translate "I'm washing the dishes" to the female version of the sentence, "אני שוטפת כלים," and "I'm driving a car" to the male version of the sentence. So I guess no one in this room really thinks that Google is a chauvinist, right? We all know that the problem is actually us, our data. And Google is learning from our data. We have biases in our data. There are probably more "אני שוטפת כלים" over the web than "אני שוטף כלים. And that's what Google Translate is learning, and it keeps rolling this bias even further. So from Google Translate, I'm moving to personal assistants, and I mentioned Cortana in the beginning. You probably know and probably use some of these. So we have Siri by Apple, and Cortana, my friend from Microsoft, and Alexa by Amazon. And who noticed before this session that all of them are actually female? Around a third, maybe less than a third. So all of them are female. We'll talk in the next slide about why. And we'll also see how that makes people treat them differently and interact with them differently, and how do they behave in these cases. So when we want to build a product, we want it to be a successful product, right? We want to build a product that users will like and use and buy. So we go and ask our users or check with our users what kind of a product they need or want. And when we ask our users, when we ask people, most of them, both men and women, prefer to interact with a female personal assistant in an app. Research also shows that users prefer high-pitched sound when interacting with technology. So when we build a new product and we want to have a personal assistant, in most cases, we'll choose a female version, a female voice, because that's what users prefer. But that also makes people interact with them differently. And as we saw at Microsoft when I worked on Cortana, we saw that many of the conversations are actually all sorts of harassment. And another interesting question is, what do they do in return when someone tries to harass them? So here's a screenshot from a very old article, so it changed since then, which is good. But in the past, if you'd say to Siri, for example, "You're a bitch," she would respond with, "I'd blush if I could." And that's a bit like smiling uncomfortably when someone is trying to harass me, right? That's probably not the best solution. So when I worked on Cortana, we realized that many of the conversations look like that. And we actually had an effort within the company to teach Cortana to understand when someone is trying to harass her and push back in some way. So she can say, "Sorry, this is not what I'm supposed to do. Here are other things that you can ask me." And the same thing probably happened in other personal assistants as well, because we see that today it's much better. So we talked a bit about the fact that most digital personal assistants are female. Let's see how do they look like. If I go to Midjourney and ask for an image of a personal assistant, this is what I get. When I ask for a bus driver, I get these. So 3 of them are actually black men, so there are additional biases here. A doctor, a nurse. And when I ask for male personal assistants, I do get some men, but you see a difference between the men and the women. The photos are more zoomed in, they seem more professional, and the women are more zoomed out. You can see their body, they're sexier. So there are additional biases, additional layers of biases here. It's not just about a man or a woman, there are additional things here. Another example that someone shared with me from TikTok. This woman used this photo to create, there are those apps that create a professional photo for you for LinkedIn. So she uploaded this photo to create a more professional photo, and this is what she got. Or this. Or this. And she also got one photo where she is a woman, but look what's next to her. So that's a real big failure. I guess all of us agree about that, but we see those problems in all platforms, in all Gen AI platforms in various ways. And when we try to fix it, we see that it's not that easy to fix. I guess most of you heard about what happened with Google Gemini about 1 month ago, when people tried to create photos of a German soldier from 1943. These are the results that they got. So we have Asian women and black women, and that's probably not a good solution as well, because it's basically changing the history. And there was a lot of noise around that, and they actually had to remove the ability to create images of people in Google Gemini. And a question that you probably have in mind by now is this really a problem? Because it's actually a reflection of reality, right? And what do you want to do? Do you want to create AI that behaves as if everything is equal? Probably not, right? And we've seen what happened with Gemini. But today we also know that AI is not just learning and reflecting the reality, it makes things even worse because it generalizes everything. So one of the things I do around AI is I run sessions for kids to teach them AI tools. And when I try to create images of superheroes, this was a part of the prompt. These are the images that I got, or these from Leonardo, or these from Ideogram, so I got one girl here. And if I was a real teacher creating a session for my class, not related to AI, I probably would have created one boy and one girl, right? Because I know my audience, and I'm thinking about what they need. But AI is not doing that. AI doesn't have those filters, and it generalizes the gaps and the biases that we already have in society. So we see that this is really a problem. And lately, we're seeing a new type of problem when we talk about using AI and using Gen AI tools. And probably all of us in this room are using these tools in our day-to-day. And we know that these tools make us better employees. They can save us time. We can create better results. But we also see that there's a gap between men and women here. And women are 37% less likely to use AI in their work, in their job. So this is another problem that we have. But the good thing is that it's not too late. This whole revolution is still pretty new. It just started about a year ago, and there are still people who are not using those tools, so we still can make a difference. And when I think about what can we do and how can we improve the situation, I'm thinking about two main buckets. As AI users, which is all of us and soon everyone, we really need to have this critical thinking, because we're no longer in a world where we ask a computer a question and we get a response and we know that this response is correct. We need to have this critical thinking and know that AI makes mistakes, but not only mistakes and big errors and hallucinations, also gaps and sometimes small biases that are easy to miss. And as AI creators, which I guess we probably have a lot of these here as well, we also need to be very careful about the product that we create. And there are things that we can do, especially looking at our data set and making sure that our data set is not biased and includes all the relevant information. So we have both images of women and men, for example, and create unbiased data sets. We can also have people human in the loops in our process. So like we have someone in charge of security or someone in charge of privacy, we can have someone in charge of these areas as well. And someone asking those questions along the process of creating a product. So we can stop in specific steps on the way and say, what kind of biases might we have in our product? And just pausing for a second and asking those questions can definitely help us find biases and find gaps that maybe we miss in our day-to-day. So can we trust AI? All of us are going to use AI. We know that. Nothing's going to change that. And AI is really helping us in our work and in our day-to-day. So this is not going to change. But we really have to be careful when thinking about how we use the tools and how people around us use the tools, and also when creating tools, thinking about how our users will use the tools and what kind of biases might we have in our products and what can we fix before we ship something to production. Thank you.